Hey guys, I'm Lauren and welcome to my channel. So today I'm really excited because I'm going to be doing some Anthropologie knockoffs, and I absolutely love that store, but I don't always love the price tag. So today I'm actually going to be doing some thrift flips that I turn into these Anthropologie knockoffs. And so if you're on a budget and willing to put in some DIY, you can make some of these items for over $100 less than the original item. And everything I'm using from the thrift store today are common items that I see at thrift stores all the time, so there's no excuses. All right, so first project is going to involve taking this basket I found at the thrift store. Very common to find at a thrift store. You can find multiple sizes of baskets, and then I'm going to turn it into something more like this. Now at Anthropologie, this will cost you anywhere from $38 to $88, depending on the size vase you choose from their store. And this little guy cost me $2, and I maybe spent like an extra $5 on some shell beads, and that's all I'm investing into this project. So first, what I'm going to do to my basket is I'm going to take the handle off. So right at this seam here where the handle and top meet, I'm going to start snipping off these sections. And then I'm just wiggling the handle out. It's coming now. And I'm left with a cute little basket like this now that'll be perfect for a little plant to go inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint this black to match the inspiration. So now I'm just starting to glue on these little shell beads. I got these really inexpensively online. You can find them at any craft store though, and they sell them in a bulk. And then they match the imitation perfectly. But I'm going ahead and gluing these down around one of these vertical stripes in the basket, and then fanning two out kind of on a slight diagonal from that vertical piece. I'm going to go ahead and repeat this, I think about 5 times going around the basket. Hi, Cola. And I think it looks really cute and fun. Now, in order to use this as a pot, I'm going to go ahead and take a Ziploc bag, and I folded the top over, and now I'm just going to put it inside this basket, and I'm going to glue the top of it to this inside rim of the basket. And look at how cute that little basket is. I think it's absolutely adorable. I love the texture of the wicker. It's similar to the imitation. And then the seashells turned out perfect on there. Now, all those vertical threads in the basket made it pretty easy to evenly space out my rows of beads. And I think the end result is really fun, especially with these little succulents inside. The next thrift store item that I'm gonna flip into an Anthropologie inspired item are these really fun placemats. And I picked up these two for a total of $2. Now, there's so many things that I could do with these placemats, but then I saw these really awesome pillows on Anthropologie's website that are a little bit bigger than these. They're about 24 inches diameter, whereas these are 15 inches diameter, but they had these fun floor pillows that had pom-poms all around them that were also circular, but they're going for $108. So the version I'm gonna make is gonna be like less than $5. Now, if you can't find nice placemats like this at a thrift store, that's understandable, but check Walmart out, or you could just pick up the really cheap round placemats at the Dollar Tree. And I got this really fun clover pom-pom maker, but it makes making pom-poms really super easy. And I think I'm gonna make my pom-poms for this pillow out of this really fun rainbow yarn. So it has these two sides that will fold out opposite sides from each other. Now I'm gonna start on the side that's closest to the center and start wrapping my thread around it. When I'm done with the one half, I'm going to take my thread and stick it through the center of these two pieces. Then I'm going to close this up, take this thread through this middle section, and then open up the other half. I'm going to go ahead and cut this thread and then close this up. I'm going to go and take my scissors in this middle part and start cutting through my threads. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and take another piece of my thread and I'm gonna go ahead and put it through this middle section here. Loop it all around the whole circle. Pull it nice and tight. And then I'm gonna leave enough of this yarn so that I can tie a knot and tie it onto my placemat later. And then this whole unit comes apart. All right, so I'm gonna actually make 6 more of these for this pillow and I'll have 7 of them total going around the side. Look at how fun these are. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start assembling the pillow part. You could definitely make these pretty flat and I think they'd be perfect for a seat cushion for like a hard kitchen chair, or really fun on a patio or outdoor space if there's not gonna be a lot of rain coming in. So I think I'm gonna make a version that will be kind of for an outdoor porch. I'm gonna go ahead and just use stuffing from an old pillow for mine. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and use embroidery floss and stitch together the sides by hand. I'm just gonna use these construction clamps to keep it in place. When I get to the end of my thread, I'm gonna go ahead and clamp it in place for now. And then keep looping my thread from the bottom to the top, going around the circle. So now I have about a 1/4 left to stitch up, so I'm going to go ahead and clamp the loose end of my thread over here. I'm going to go ahead and finish up stitching this up. And now I have my 2 ends of thread here. I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot to finish this off. Now I left a little bit of the extra yarn when I made my pom-poms so that I can just weave this in to this material a little bit. And now I can tie a knot here where I have the 2 longer threads. Look at how cute this is. I'm so excited. I wish I would have made these sooner. But anyway, there's no way you can mess up this project. You can use any type of placemat you want and any color yarn you want, and it would turn out super fun. For my next anthropology hack, I'm gonna take this hat I picked up at the thrift store. Just a straw hat, which they have plenty of at the thrift store. And then I'm gonna turn this into a set of 3 of these mirrors. Now this is Anthropologie's version, and theirs is a little bit bigger than the ones I'm gonna make today, but it also runs for $328, so a little outside of my budget. But the ones I'm gonna make today are gonna be a set of 3, and I think they'll take up just as much space on the wall, so have just as much of an impact. And I found this set of mirrors on Amazon for under $10. So I'm gonna take this and my thrift store hat and make a set of 3 mirrors for what, less than $15? Now the set of mirrors comes in different sizes. So this is the largest size that came with it. And I'm gonna use pretty much most of the rim of my hat as the border for this one. And then for this really small mirror, I'm gonna use most of the top of the hat as the border. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting out my frames for the mirrors. And I just wanna leave enough of an inside border so that I can glue this to the edge of my mirror. So for the rim of the hat for the large mirror, I'm just going ahead and separating the two layers here. I'm ripping it out so that I'll be able to actually fray this straw material. And then I'm going to cut away the extra layer of the straw material. For my large mirror, I'm going to use part of the outer rim for the hat, and since it had two layers of this outer rim, I'm going to use the outer rim for both the large and medium-sized mirrors. I'm going to just start loosening it a little bit and fraying it by pulling on these different threads. All right, and as I unravel it, I'm starting to get something kind of like this. Now, I kind of like the mix of the white and black threads on the end. I'm going to try to keep as much of them together as possible so that I don't have these splotches of only black and only white. And I might use my hot glue gun to kind of guarantee some of the black ends up in the white section and vice versa. And now with my sides all frayed, I'm going to go ahead and glue my mirror in place. And the backs of these mirrors are nice because they have this little hanging hook already on the back of it. So I'm going to try to glue this around the perimeter without getting this little hanging hook. For the middle-sized mirror, I took that second piece of the rim since it was double layered, and I did cut it at the seams, and now I'm just making the circle a little bit smaller by wrapping the sides over each other so that it matches the size of that mirror a little bit better. And then last, I'm just going to finish off the border of these mirrors with a little bit of this black jute. And there's those fun mirrors on the wall. I think they turned out pretty fun. I think they'd be really cool with a solid colored hat too, or something that's more straw-like, as the black and white sections did kind of stay separated a little bit more than I wanted. All right, my final thrift flip project that is Anthropology inspired is going to involve this little lampshade. Now, Anthropologie has these really fun lampshades right now with long fringes on them and shiny brass details and then stitching along the top. Anthropologie's version is going to cost you $128 to $148 for one lampshade, depending on what size you want. So I'm going to make my own version. Thrift store lampshade, super cheap. First, I'm going to go ahead and do that fun stitching detail that was all around the top. And to start that off, I'm going to use a little Sharpie to mark little dots going around the outside. And I'm going to go somewhere between 1.5 centimeters and 1/2 inch for each dot. With my dots all drawn on top and bottom, now I'm going to go ahead and use a drill bit, and I'm using a really teeny tiny one, and I'm going to go ahead and drill through this lampshade. Now to do that, I'm going to grasp the top where it's metal and hold it nice and firm as I drill through the lampshade. Then I'm going to take one of these curved embroidery needles, and I'm going to use embroidery floss. I'm going to go ahead and tie a triple knot. This way it won't go through that little hole that I drilled with my drill bit. And I'm going to start on the inside of the lampshade for the first one, probably where the seam is, and I'm going to put my needle through that and then come all the way out through. And then I'm just gonna start to go back to the inside of the lampshade and start going through each individual hole and then pulling through. When I get to the end of my circle with my loose thread here, I'm going to go ahead and bring it over to where my original first thread was with the knot. And I'm going to tie another knot here, just like that. All right, and you could stop now and have a really cute lampshade with this little stitch detail that's definitely on trend right now. But what I'm gonna do now is add those fun tassel details along the front, and I'm gonna do 6 details that look kind of like this. So for this fun large brass detail in the middle, originally I thought I was just gonna use long skinny gold beads, but I couldn't find any at the craft store when I looked. But then what I did find instead were these macrame tubes, and it came with 15 of them in there, so definitely enough to make a set of matching lampshades. Then for my actual tassel parts, I decided to use embroidery floss, like the kind that you buy like this on a large spool. And I bought it in this cream color and then also in a bright white color. So I cut a piece of cardboard to 2 different lengths here. Then for my cream, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold it in place on the bottom here and start wrapping this around the cardboard. And I'm gonna go, I think, about 30 times around this in a circle. Go ahead and cut this loose thread, put it underneath one of these sides of the string, bring it up to the top, and tie a really tight knot. And then cut this in half. So I'm gonna do 6 of these details around the side of my lampshade. So that means I need to make 12 of these cream colored tassels. Then for this little white one in the middle, I'm going to use this white embroidery thread instead. And I'm going to come over to the smaller side that I have here, do the same thing. I'm going to wrap this one 20 times, I think. Or 30. All right, so I'm only going to need 6 of the little white ones for the tassels that I'm making. And then once I have all my little tassels done, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these macrame tubes. I'm gonna stick the end of one of my tassels through it, put a little bit of hot glue right on the top, press that together, and let that glue kind of set. Then I'm gonna push it into the middle there somewhere. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of hot glue right in there, right at an angle. Then I'm gonna take my little white tassel and I'm just gonna glue it to the back of this tube. So lampshades have these 3 metal bars typically that go into the middle. So I made 6 tassels so that it would be a multiple of 3 and be easier to know where to space them out around the lampshade. Put a nice big glob there. And then I'm gonna put this right where that metal rod is here. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other 2 that line up with those metal rods first. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I'm gonna go ahead and comb out these little fringes a little bit to get them to lay nice and flat, and then I'll show you what this looks like on a lamp. And look at how cute that little lampshade is on this lamp. It makes me actually like this lamp a lot more now, and such a simple, cheap update to do. So maybe rethink a lampshade if you have one that's kind of boring, and a fun way to kind of dress it up that's definitely on trend and cost me less than $10 to do.